Well, good morning. Wow, it's so weird not seeing the trailer here. So, before we left out, I had a company reach out to me asking if I would like to test out their product. And I said, sure, I'll test out your product. So this is us testing out their product. The crazy thing is, I wasn't sure how I was going to test it out. Then we took our truck out. We started seeing low boost. So this product got here just in time. All right. So the company that reached out to me is called Ansel, A-N-C-E-L. And this is supposed to be the best of the best in what they offer right now. It is the X7 HD, designed for trucks. It's supposed to be able to clear codes, read data streams, advance features with your DPF, and run actuator tests. It's supposed to be super easy to use. I guess we'll put that to the test because I've never used one before. I've been using a OTR tool. If you guys have been following the channel for a while, you guys know that from day one this truck has given us a fit with the regen system. So I did a little bit of research and I've been using this OTR tool, which it's basically just this. You plug this in to your port and it's supposed to clear the codes, and if you leave it plugged in long enough it forces a regen. Because my regen button, although it works, it doesn't actually reset the computer to let it know that it ran a regen. This was like $900. $900 for this. You don't get to see a screen, you don't get to see the codes it cleared, you don't get to see anything. It's just this that clears the codes and forces a regen. This, on the other hand, comes with a 10.1 size screen that you can see everything that's going on. Full system scanner, extensive vehicle coverage, multi-language support, free update online. At the time of recording this, I believe this is about $650. Let me double check here. Check the price for you real fast. Okay, this is the X7 HD. Ansel X7 HD heavy duty truck diagnostics tool, full system DPF, ABS ECU reset scanner. Right now, it's on sale for $64.99. And I believe if you use the link that I'm going to provide, there's even a bigger discount. Maybe there's not a discount. Maybe that is the discount, 64. Basically 650 bucks. Now remember, I told you I paid $900 something for this. OTR. And this is only for the Volvo and the Mac with the 9-pin with years 99 to 2013. So this will only work on these model trucks. This right here is supposed to come with stuff to work on almost every single truck. We're gonna unbox this thing and see what we got here. Look at that. It's got a fancy carrying case too. Let's see what we got here. Can you guys see me right now? Oh, look at that. All right, let me pull you guys down off of here. Look at this. This is obviously the screen, but look at all of those different plugs that come with this. Look at that. That's for a Benz. There's the Cat, Volvo, Denso, Isuzu, Cummins. I guess this is the screen. I don't know if we're gonna have to charge this thing or not to play with this thing. But this could not have come at a better time. Now, we recently went to the auction too, and we were looking at trucks for sale. And a buddy of mine found a really cheap mechanic that would come. Basically, we needed him to bring his computer because we wanted to plug the computer into these trucks that we were looking at to read the codes and make sure everything in the computer side of everything was going to be okay. Now, he was going to charge us $100 per truck to come out. So he was going to inspect the truck as well, but the main thing, which I can inspect the outside of a truck fine, but the main thing we needed him for was his computer to plug into these trucks to make sure that there weren't any like crazy codes and there weren't crazy things going on. Now, I personally had probably more than 10 trucks picked out. My buddy probably had 6 or more trucks picked out. So if you think about it, that right there, just my 10 trucks and his 10 trucks, that's $1,600 by itself. This is $650, and you could check as many trucks as you want to check, as long as it falls in within the range of this computer being able to scan it, obviously. So, again, this is the 10.1 Android tablet. Comes with a really nice rubber drop guard. I imagine we're going to have to charge this thing in order to use it. See if it'll turn on for us. Is that glare too much? Let me move you guys down here. Yeah, look, so we've got, you can do data feedback, set up different users, quick support, diagnostic. All right, so that I don't make myself look like a complete idiot, and I don't make this company look like a complete idiot, let me, oh yeah, this battery's almost dead too. Let me go ahead and plug this thing in. I'm gonna read a little bit of paperwork on it. I'm not gonna go into depth of reading it because I'm gonna act like the average person. That, or I'm gonna make that as an excuse that I'm gonna act like an average person. I absolutely hate reading instructions. So we'll get this thing plugged in, we'll get it charged up, and we'll see if we can figure out what's wrong with this truck. Like I said, this truck has only seen 15 pounds of boost. And before, I used to be able to just plug this thing in, it would clear the codes, force a regen, and most of the time, 99% of the time,
I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm kind of retarded.
Because this isn't the first time this truck's done this. It's put itself into limp mode. The very first time, actually, we took this truck out, we took a load, I believe it was up to Ohio, and I was like, wow, this truck is so slow and it is struggling with loads. I guess this is just how semi trucks are. Then we picked up another load and went to Colorado, and this thing struggled all the way out to Colorado. We ended up taking it to a Mack dealership. The Mack dealership, I can't remember what they charged us, but we jumped in the truck after they had fixed the problem, and the problem was still there. I ended up turning the truck around, went right back to the dealership. I'm like, there's still something wrong with my truck. I'm like, what does this red circle with the X on my dash mean? And they're like, oh, there's a problem. When did that come on? I'm like, that's the whole reason I brought this truck to you guys. So then they brought their computer out, forced a regen, cleared the codes, bam, we were seeing 40 pounds of boost again. It's like, if I had this computer then, or honestly even this computer, and forced a regen, then I wouldn't have even needed to take it to the shop. So again, let me charge this thing up, and we'll see if we can get this problem figured out. Let me finish this unboxing for you guys too, so you guys can see exactly what all's in here before I charge this thing up. So you've got your user manual. Not a clue what that is. And then under here, oh, look at that. I have no idea what those are for. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that's for. Got some alligator clips with a... Oh, I guess this is part of the charger here. This, I believe, connects to that tablet. And then this will plug into whatever you're trying to hook into. Oh man, there's so much here. That's a cigarette lighter charger, maybe? Or maybe you can plug this, I don't know. I don't want to assume. Let me read some directions. And see if we can figure this thing out. This is going to be one of those things that after you take everything out of the case, you'll never get everything back in to get the case closed. Looks like we found a new version. We're going to let this thing update. Alright, so we're going to hit diagnostic here. Obviously we have a Mac. Click this. Communicating. Scanning our computer right now. ECU does not respond. Okay, so I may have to have my key on for this. Let's try that again. Yeah, that tells you your engine hours, your odometer, in kilometers. Can I change that from kilometers? What's that eyeball do? Vehicle ECU. You know what, let's go back to this engine ECU. And I'm gonna do kilometers to miles, and I wanna see if my dash is right. So according to Google, my truck has 860,000 miles on it. But according to my dash, we have 798,000 miles on it. So something like this is fantastic for when you're going to the auction to see if, like, take for instance those FedEx trucks that we hauled. The dashes showed, some of the dashes showed that they had 400,000 miles on it.
forever changed our expectations of what delivery wait times look like. The shipping giant's website boasts a fleet of over 200,000 vehicles worldwide, trucks that rack up lots of miles to make those speedy deliveries. When FedEx retires trucks, they're often resold through auto auctions and converted to other uses like food trucks. But a newly filed federal class action lawsuit says some of those trucks harbor a dangerous secret. The lawsuit accuses FedEx of participating in the largest odometer fraud scheme in U.S. automotive history.
But after talking to the FedEx is like, no, those dashes have been replaced. These trucks have over 1 million miles on it. And then when those trucks get taken to auction, the auction doesn't know that the dash has been replaced. They list the truck as having 400,000 miles on it. Well, with a computer like this, you can plug it in, and the computer, unless the computer's been changed, the computer will let you know how many miles. Now, why is there a 50,000 mile discrepancy with my truck? I have no idea. Actually, 60,000 mile discrepancy with my truck. Now, my truck did go to auction a few times as well. I feel like 60,000 miles is not really enough to want to cheat when going to an auction. Maybe the kilometer 5480. Let me double check, make sure I got all these. Yeah, okay, so I have it wrong. I punched it in wrong. Instead of hitting a 2, I hit a 3. So let's redo this. All right, so it's got 1285480 kilometers to miles. Okay. Whew. That makes me feel better. I'm like, wait a second. All right. So according to Google, the amount of kilometers that we have should equal to that many miles on our truck, according to the computer that's in the truck. So you can see the kilometers are right here listed. And if we look here, my truck has 798,760 miles on it. 798,760 miles on it. So that's great. You can definitely double check a truck that you're thinking about purchasing. Make sure there's no funny business going on with the dash. FedEx doesn't replace the dashes to be funny about it. I think they just end up having trouble after 1 million miles. And that's just what they end up doing. Me personally, I feel like they should have to disclose something like that. So these are all the codes that we're having right now. Wheel sensor left. Wheel sensor ABS axle left. Power supply voltage below normal or shorted to low voltage. And you can click repair help. And I guess it gives you, oh, it takes you right to Google. Now, if I didn't mention before, Ansel has cheaper versions of this. If this is a little bit too much for you, they have cheaper versions that'll do basically these exact same things. You just won't get as big of a fancy screen. They have ones for motorcycles, for pretty much anything that has a computer in it for an engine. They pretty much offer for it. Now what we need to do is we need to figure out if I clear these codes. Okay, so I just did read. Now we can clear these codes. We'll erase these fault codes. Okay, so it's still saying power supply, which basically means I have my key on, the truck isn't running. So that's probably my power supply problem. We have refrigerators and everything plugged in right now and the truck's not running, so that's not a big deal to me. No fault codes there. Engine ECU. We just found it. So we have a boost pressure, data erratic, intermittent, or incorrect. That's our problem. So let's see. NOx monitoring failure. They were supposed to have replaced this NOx sensor for me. General sensor fault. That's not what was happening. Fault code refers to warm up. What happens if we click this? So that's our code. I got in through here to, I believe this was vehicle ECU. Nope, this was in engine ECU. Yeah, this was engine ECU. So this would be the fault code, the PID 102, I believe. So now what I'm going to do, because for whatever reason when I click repair help it just takes me to some random thing. Now I'm going to punch in this code, PID 102. It's read this code 7 times too, it says. Gives you a count of how many times that it's gone off. Let's see what Google tells us here. FMI2 and... Alright. So after a short little test run, we are still not seeing over 15 pounds of boost. But we know that the computer's reading a boost leak. So what I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and pressurize my system. Make sure our new intercooler itself doesn't have a leak because it was damaged in shipping. Maybe there's an issue there that we can't see. I don't hear any whistling. That doesn't mean that it doesn't have a boost leak like our other one. So I need to go home, see. Actually what we'll do is we'll pull up and we'll see if it's still reading the same codes. What I've run into a lot of times is I've taken my truck to shops, they clear the codes, the truck runs fine afterwards, but shortly after it starts doing the same exact thing. And then what they want to do is they just want to start throwing parts at it. In the meantime, they've already charged you like they fixed the problem in the first place. Alright, so a guy on bigmactrucks.com is having the same exact issue I'm having. It looks like a technician chimed in and basically said, I think a boost leak might be causing those FMIs. Then the guy said, today I unplugged the boost sensor harness, plugged it back in and started the truck. No lightning bolt, no active code. Plugged it back in, lightning bolt went away. So he unplugged it when the truck was running. It gave him a different FMI code. He plugged it back in, the lightning bolt went away. Took it for a test drive and it ran perfect. So I tried taking that sensor off when we were at a rest area, and it felt like the bolt was gonna snap off. Well, I went to take this boost sensor out, but it feels like this bolt's gonna snap off. So that's gonna have to wait. So that's probably what I'm gonna do now. I actually ended up reading that before we even got this computer, that it might be that sensor in the intake elbow there, that they get all they get the black soot and everything all over them. So I might jump out, pull that sensor out. We'll see what it looks like. Maybe it's just a sensor problem. Maybe we can just throw a sensor at this thing and get this thing fixed. So let me go, let me pull this bolt out. All right, so my sensor's right here on this. Like I said, I tried to take this off at a rest area. It kind of felt like the bolt was gonna break. So I stopped what I was doing because I didn't want to have to deal with that while we were at a rest area. And good thing, because the bolt just snapped off. I just had a feeling, it just felt like it was gonna break. So now I get to pull that out. and fix that, which I'm at home now, so it's not too big of a deal now. This sensor isn't wanting to pull out of here. Something tells me it's gonna look bad. Oh, it's just got a rubber O-ring that keeps it in there. It's pretty sooty. It's pretty sooty there. I don't know if I can just clean that up, put that back in. But now we have to deal with a broken bolt. So I'm gonna get something to plug this hole so we don't have anything fall down in there. Maybe I just stick this back in. No, I need to find something to plug that hole. All right, I'm gonna plug this hole with a paper towel. One of those foam earplugs would work perfect right here. All right, I'm gonna take some PB Blaster. We'll soak this thing for a little bit. We'll let that soak for a little bit. I think I have some sensor cleaner. We'll take some sensor cleaner to this. See if maybe we can get this thing cleaned up. We'll attempt at putting it back in, but something tells me I should probably buy a new one and at least keep it on the truck. Then we'll take this thing for a test drive again.
It's almost at 40.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's at 40 right now.
So, I read on the forums, on one of the forums, that a guy, what he would do to test his sensor is he would stick a rubber hose on it like this here, and then he would shoot air to it. So I got the air from my truck and I shot it to it, and we're seeing 40 psi. Now, is it actually 40 psi? He had it set up with a gauge and everything to kind of let him know if this was off by a little bit, but I just wanted to see if this thing would actually reach 40 psi. Now, we've also pulled this off and put it back on like the other gentleman said that he did, that fixed his. Now, when I did pull this off, there was some corrosion there. So was it a corrosion problem? Remember when I told you at that rest area I was going to take this bolt off, but it felt like it was going to break? It snapped.
Yeah.
So now I get to deal with this bolt snapping. But what we'll do is I'll get this bolt issue fixed. I can't find my contact cleaner. So
You think it's the sensor?
yeah, it could be the sensor. So the computer gave me some error codes about the boost. I cleared the error codes, but that did not fix the issue. So it might be the sensor. I don't know, we'll see. Today's Sunday, we can't get another sensor today, obviously.
Yeah.
So I'll clean this up. I'll get this bolt pulled out, and we'll see if that sensor will read. All right, it's come down to this. The penetrating oil can only do so much. The bolt's really small, so you can't really get on it. So we're gonna have to weld a nut on top of this thing to pull it out. So I've got all my batteries disconnected. I've got my welder out here. I'm just going to clean up that bolt a little bit. I've got a bin of different nuts. I'm gonna see which one fits best on top of that. Then we're just gonna weld a nut on top of it and pull it out. So being that this is aluminum and this is steel, a lot of times when you mix the metals, they corrode a little faster. So I'm gonna clean this bolt up really good. I'll have to ground to the nut itself, and then we'll tack weld a nut on here. Pull this thing out. Dang, that one actually threads on there. So we're gonna go with that one. I think it's coming out. Nope, we just broke it off further down. Look at that. I'm sure that thing's hot. Snapped it off further down. So we get to do this all over again. This is probably our last attempt at welding a nut on here. If it breaks off again, it'll probably break off flush. Then we either have to drill and tap it, or we're gonna have to drill and easy out it. Depending on how soft that metal is on that bolt, will depend on if I drill and tap it or drill and easy out it. Broke again, but it doesn't look like it doesn't look like it stuck very good. All right, one more time. All right. Nope. It's not grabbing it. Come on. It might be coming out. We might have it. I think we got it. Oh, she's coming out. She's coming out. We got her. Woo! Look at that. Ooh, it's hot. Look at there. We got it out. Shoot, yeah. All right, after what? 3 or 4 attempts, I think that bolt was just so small and rusty and weak, it just kept snapping off on me. I've had to do it with manifold bolts and header bolts and stuff like that before, so can't honestly say it's never worked before. So now we're just going to take these threads from this bolt. I'm going to go to the garage, see if I have another bolt that fits it. We'll clean that bolt hole out real good, and we'll anti-seize the bolt this time, and then we can get this back together, and we'll see if this does any better here. All right, since I've already ordered another one and we have another one coming, I just kind of sprayed some brake parts cleaner in there to try to clean that up a little bit. Get up here and put this thing on. I found a bolt, but I had to cut it down a little bit because it was a little too long. It's kind of tricky to get these threads right after you cut a bolt. I might have done a crappy job here too. Oh, we got it. It's always fun when your GoPro overheats, huh? Seeing 69 psi fuel pressure, engine load 67, EGR valve showing that it's closed. We are not fixed. We are not fixed. Alright, we'll stop the recording here. And then if we ever want to go back and see our recordings, video, I bet this is it. Yeah, this is it right here. Open with videos. Open with gallery just once. See, there you go, that's us moving. So if I had to, I could take that file and send that file to a mechanic. Let's say I have my own mechanic across the country, and he's like, let me see all this. You could just record it and send it to him, and he could help you diagnose it from across the country. So I got to get some trucks moved out of the way, pull my semi truck into the driveway so I can hook up my air compressor and go from there. Of course, it could still be that sensor. You know what though? We did hook the air compressor up to it, and it did read 40 psi. So that tells me it might not be the sensor. So you can do injector cutout tests, cylinder compression tests, oil pressure tests. Boost pressure test drive. Yep, that's what we're doing. Read data stream. Boost pressure, charge, air temp, engine speed, engine load, torque, fuel supply pressure, coolant temperature, turbo speed. Yeah, so I could have just gone in and done this. and then I have this PVC thing made up here, and I tap this and I screwed a air fitting into it, and I just fit it in here, stick my clamp on here, tighten it down, hook my air hose up to it. It's that simple. I don't know what my air compressor's at yet. We'll go ahead and hook this thing up though. We got a little bit of a leak around that. Let me go turn this air compressor down. Definitely got some leak around here, but that's not going to lose us 15 pounds. That's showing 0 manifold pressure. Now granted, this air compressor is not going to be able to show 40 psi on this, but at the same time, I mean, these rubber things over here are like stiff. Definitely air coming through there, huh?
Yeah.
Got a little. All right, show you what's happened since I last talked to you. So after cutting this band like I did the other one so I could put an actual clamp on it, this side has an O-ring. There's an O-ring that sits in here, and I think it was leaking because that O-ring was bad. But while trying to take that O-ring out, I broke the O-ring, so I'm gonna have to find another O-ring. I was like, you know what, let me just get a price on, if I just replace this piece right here, and just this piece right here is $600. So that is why I've been Mickey Mousing this thing to fix these boost leaks. But I can get that O-ring for like $3, so that's a good thing. All right, now I've pulled my air cleaner tube off so I could look down inside and see my turbo. I was thinking, well, maybe the impellers are damaged, so it's not making enough boost. That looks like it's in perfect working order. Then I've tried to do some research on how to test these actuators. And from what I can find is you pull the actuator off, and it's not really an actuator thing that you test. There's a lever on the turbo that your actuator is supposed to turn. And if that doesn't turn all the way, it could be your turbo. So I may pull this actuator off. It's going to be these 2 oil lines, and then I think these 4 bolts. My fear is breaking. Alright, my SD card got full. Stopped recording. I was talking about these bolts on this actuator. My fear is breaking these bolts off trying to get this actuator off. So I haven't decided if I'm going to do that yet. Also, while we were out, I told you guys about the belt squeal. I showed you guys the belt squeal. This is the belt tensioner from the other side. I don't know if that camera is going to pick it up, but that is really bad. Can you hear me now? So, we need a new belt tensioner. I don't think we can just replace this. I don't think you can just replace this pulley. I think they make it to where you have to replace the whole thing. So I need to decide what I'm going to do with this. There's supposed to be a lever in here. Hear that?
Yeah.
So that's good. The turbo's good. So it could be the actuator. Now that I've moved this, I might have to recalibrate it. Let me just stick one of these in and hold this in place. That computer is supposed to recalibrate these.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Well,
But we don't know if it's bad or not. Does the computer know?
I don't know. Let me put some anti-seize on these and put this back in. We'll clean these things up with this wire brush. We'll bolt this bad boy back in, and we'll see about recalibrating it. All right, I believe I found the problem. I think it's our turbo actuator. So what I did was I can connect my phone to this GoPro. First I had Lita keep an eye on it, but then she had to go get us dinner. So then what I did was I set this GoPro up to point at the actuator. I have the actuator pulled off where you can see the gear. Let's see if I can show you this. Just got in the truck, but that's all right. I pulled the actuator off, and what happens is this actuator right here has a gear inside. Let me see if I can show you. See this gear right here? This gear will turn, which turns these teeth on this turbo, and that pulls the impeller forward and back, and that's kind of what adjusts your boost, right? So what I did was I set this GoPro up on the turbo. I put my phone in preview mode so I could see what was on the GoPro while looking at that gear. And then I tried to recalibrate this thing. And according to this, it should have been moving that gear. So if we go back into this and we go calibration, we're gonna go engine ECU, variable geometry turbo calibration, Mack truck, and then I went through all these steps, and that gear that gear should be turning to calibrate it. And it doesn't move. So that gear never moves, which tells me we have a wiring problem or an actuator problem. So I wish there was another way to test this, like maybe a voltage. See, that gear should be moving right now, and it's not spinning. So I believe we have a bad actuator. Hopefully I'm running this right. I don't know what an actuator costs, but something tells me they're not cheap. All right, FedEx truck just showed up with our new actuator. Right here, had it overnighted, plugged in the new actuator, and you can actually see the gear spinning. And I did that thing with my GoPro again, where I just set up my GoPro and then I looked through the app and I could see the gear spinning. So the gear's actually spinning with this, which means that one is bad. So we have to disconnect this, hook the new one up, and then calibrate it. All right, we got the old one off. We got the new one on. We just won't be able to start this thing until the tensioner pulley gets here, because I have the belt disconnected right now because we had a tensioner pulley go out. But I think we can calibrate this thing. Oh, also I've got some new hoses coming for this. I mean, I guess if the pulley comes today, I can throw the old hoses on and replace it when they get here. Not sure when they're gonna get here, but we'll see what we can do with calibrating this thing. You will have to excuse the beeping because we're low on air. Let's see, now we're gonna go to vehicle ECU, calibration, engine ECU, Mac, okay. All right, we position for install, now we're gonna calibrate. All right, looks like it's done. I had to back out and start all over. I guess anytime you turn the key off and turn it back on, you have to start back all over from the beginning before you finish this. Is it doing anything?
No. It's making noise. Yeah, it's clacking.
It worked. Well, I don't know if it's because I don't have a load on me or if it's not fixed. But I didn't see any more than about 16 pounds of boost, I think. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot over here and pick up my trailer and bring it home so it's not at my buddy's house anymore. And I don't know, we'll have to put this trailer behind it and see if that fixes anything. And I hope I didn't just spend all that time for nothing. All right, we got the trailer hooked up. Let's see what happens now. PSI right there, 9th gear, 22, stuck on 23, which is better than 16, but there's still something not right. Maybe I didn't calibrate that thing right. I feel like we used to hit 40 PSI pretty quick. I might need to try to calibrate this thing again. Well, a little bit of an update. It's pretty much rained all day long, but I'm back out here working on this thing. And I'm trying to calibrate this actuator again. And for some reason, sometimes it won't go through the calibration process. So what I have to do is I have to shut the truck off and I have to go through everything all over again. And then it'll go through the calibration process. But what happens when I hit the calibration, I'll jump out of my truck and I'll run around there real fast, and there's a gear on that actuator, and then there's like an armature on your turbo. And what happens is that gear fits onto that armature on your turbo and basically opens and closes your turbo as it needs. But what it sounds like it's doing is that when you put it into calibration, it's supposed to calibrate itself to say, okay, this is fully closed in this position, and it'll spin it back the other way, and then it'll stop, and it'll be like, okay, this is fully open in this position. And then that tells that armature as you're driving down the road what its limits are. And honestly, what it sounds like is something's wrong with that motor, because you can't really hear it flipping the thing back and forth. It sounds like the motor is too weak. You can hear it kind of whining and maybe click back and forth, like maybe the teeth clicking back and forth, but it doesn't sound like it's completely opening and closing it.
It's making noise. Yeah, it's clacking.
And yeah, you can move that by hand fairly easy. So it's not, I don't think it's a turbo problem. I think it's that I think it's the motor in that thing. They are rebuilt, so it could be a bad one. I mean, my luck, it's probably a bad one. So I just recalibrated it one more time. I'm going to take this thing for a test drive one more time. I've already called my mechanic. Honestly, I don't have any, I've never done these before, so I don't know what if what I'm hearing is actually what I think it's doing. If we can't get this thing figured out, I'm probably going to run this thing over to my mechanic and let him listen to it. I say run over. He's in Gainesville. I mean, he's been the most so far. I mean, he's only worked on the truck once, but he's the only trustworthy mechanic that I found. So, I don't know, we're gonna take this thing for another test drive, see what happens. This is kind of frustrating, so I'll let you guys know. So I just realized this thing's Bluetooth. You can take this tablet out of the truck and walk around and run your tests. I've been struggling sitting in the truck. I think they can do better on the instruction that they send with this thing. But yeah, how nice is that? So right now I'm trying to check the turbo actuator. Alright guys, it is the next day. We're headed to Gainesville with the truck. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know much about these trucks. I have no idea. I can only do so much. So I give up. Like, I don't know what to do, you know? So, I don't work on these things for a living. I can only do so much. So, I'm gonna take it down to this guy that worked on our truck last time. He seemed like he did a pretty good job. Mid-State Diesel and Repair. Am I saying that right? Mid-State Diesel Repair LLC in Gainesville, Florida. So we're gonna shoot down there. He's not sure if he's gonna be there when we show up, but if he does, I'm gonna go ahead and show him the Ansel computer, because he asked me what I was using to try to calibrate it. He said he'd never heard of it before. So I'll probably leave it in the truck and let him use it, see, get his thoughts on it, if he feels comfortable using it or not. And then whenever he figures out what's wrong with it, you know, he's used to using these computers. He uses them all the time. So I may just tell him, go ahead and use the computer, and, you know, tell me what you think, and then maybe he can. Honestly, after playing with it for a little bit, you kind of figure it out anyways. But there's so much stuff in that I don't even know how to use. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, it's incredible the amount of stuff that you can do with that thing. So I don't know. That's what we'll end up doing. Today's Thursday. It is 9:30 in the morning. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get to the truck today. I don't know if I mentioned it, but yesterday was my birthday, June 14th. What a way to spend your birthday, huh? Working on a piece of junk. So, pretty stressful day. I was pretty stressed out yesterday. Honestly, I kind of thought, man, this is going to be amazing. This company wants to send me this. I'm going to be able to get on this thing and figure this out. And, I mean, to be honest with you, the actuator, if I didn't talk about it, so we were getting like 16 pounds of boost, and the actuator did absolutely nothing for us. It ended up being the boost sensor in the intake. I ended up replacing that, and it went from 16 to 20, 22 or 23, whatever we ended up getting. So I just don't understand. I couldn't get the gear to start moving on the old actuator, so I thought for sure that was it. Like, this is crazy. Like, I just wanted to fix a boost leak. I just wanted to fix my boost leak. So I ordered an intercooler, and we went through 2 intercoolers. FedEx dropped 2 intercoolers and messed them both up. I did air pressure test the system, and I didn't hear any leaks or see any leaks in the intercooler. So the second one they sent just ended up denting one of the, it was actually, I think it was the, not the inlet, but the outlet, I believe. Yeah, it was the outlet. It was on the driver's side, the one that goes into the motor. Spent some time kind of straightening that up, hooked everything up, and now it's gone from making 40 pounds of, went from 40 pounds of boost down to 16. So I don't know, maybe you get this thing figured out. Man, I hope this thing doesn't cost a bunch of money. Honestly, I'm already like $750 into the actuator. I think I got the sensor off of Amazon for 50 bucks. I mean, wouldn't that be crazy if it was just the sensor the whole time too? And like my sensor was bad, and then this sensor's kind of bad, and then it ends up being like another sensor. Or it's, okay, so I pulled the codes last night too. And I'm getting an actuator fault message too. So I don't know if I told you guys that or not, but I'm getting a variable geometry turbo actuator. I'm getting 2 of those. One says intermittent or incorrect, and the other one says faulty device or component. So it might be the actuator. I just don't deal with them enough to know if it's the actuator, you know? So I don't know. We're gonna run it down to them, see what we can figure out, and see what happens, you know? What is gonna happen? I guess this just gives me more time to work on some videos. I just posted the air conditioner giveaway video. I had a lot of fun making that video, but the company wanted me to pre-send them the video before I posted it, and I did the whole motorcycle thing and the porta potty thing, but I didn't have me talking to myself in the video. and they didn't like that. They thought that I was trying to promote people to use the air conditioner that way. That's why I went in. My mirror got all jacked. That's why I went in and was talking to myself and telling myself not to do that with the air conditioner. And it turned out great. I was pretty happy with it. Honestly, like, when companies tell me that they want to send me something, I kind of weed through. You know, I get my emails all the time. Like, people are always wanting to send me stuff. And I probably do, I mean, you guys see, like, I hardly pick anything. Like, clothing companies hit me up, and all kinds of companies hit me up. And it's like, I mean, if it's something that can't benefit the channel or something that I can give away to you guys, like 2 dash cam videos is enough, unless it's like something other that's completely amazing. Like, if a company wants to send me like a dash cam setup that does the whole truck, you've seen the trucks that have like cameras all over their truck. I mean, that would be cool to check out and put on the truck. But like, people try to send me tents and camping gear and stuff like that. But usually when somebody's like, hey, do you want to review this? And I'm like, hey, that would be awesome to review. And I get it all in my head. I'm like, oh, it's going to be amazing. And then I get the product in, and like, I draw a complete blank. Like, what do I do with this video? And I did that for a long time with the air conditioner. Like, I'm like, I have no idea what to do. I want to do something fun, and I just lay awake at night sometimes, and sometimes stuff just hits me. And that's how I came up with the motorcycle and everything. So the GoPro is messed up. I'm still filming on it right now, but I have a RMA to send it back. So the battery's not charging when you plug it in. It won't charge the battery when I plug the camera in. I have to pull the battery out and charge it through a second deal. So I hit GoPro up, and GoPro's like, I'm sorry that you're having this problem, blah, blah, blah. And I have problems with this thing all the time. I'm having to pull the battery out and hard reset it all the time. The thing's always overheating. I absolutely hate that I ever bought a GoPro. I should have stuck to my guns and stuck with the DJI and just been happy with that. But when the DJI Osmo Action 3 came out, like, it only had 8 bits of color, and I don't know. I was like, you know what, let me give the GoPro a chance. I absolutely hate this thing. I might end up buying something else and sticking this thing on eBay or something, because I absolutely hate it. So I contacted GoPro. GoPro's like, okay, well, just send it back, and we're gonna send you another one. And they're like, just so you know, it can take 3 to 4 weeks. I'm like, 3 to 4 weeks without a camera? I'm like, I use this thing every day. I was like, can I purchase another camera off of you, and then when you guys receive this camera that's messed up, can you just refund me my money? Oh, no, we can't do that. I'm like, and I have the protection plan with this thing. So I'm like, so you guys expect me to go like a month without a camera? Oh, I'm sorry, that's the only thing we can do. I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous for you to buy a product and it to have this much trouble, and then them not even allow you to give them more money for the same product, and then just refund me my money when you get my camera in. They don't want to do it. So we're going to be without a camera for like 4 weeks. I'm going to have to start shooting on my iPhone. I don't know what that's going to be like. I mean, I guess I could always go to the 360. It just takes a long time to edit that footage, and sometimes I just need to try to get caught up. I'm trying to get caught up on these videos, and it just seems like every time like I have some downtime, I end up having to spend it on like working on this truck or dealing